We are live, my man.
Live without a net. Happy Friday afternoon. How you doing?
It's us, man. I'm doing great. How are you on this steamy day?
It is going to be hot in the southeast in July, and August, and probably September.
For the foreseeable future?
Yes, for the foreseeable future. Let me get my notes up here.
How do we see who else is with us?
I think if you click the little icon that says
the little
three
people?
right now. Yep,
Okie dokie. Who's WC? I always want to, you know me. WC, you know me. Who are you, WC? Oh.
Welcome, WC.
Do we have to give people a mic, or can they automatically?
I think we have to lend them the mic.
Okay. Well, I will ask you to manage that sort of stuff, if that's cool by you.
Of course.
So I can focus on the winning manager mindset. Do. Max Bruton, nice. Welcome.
Wade Cannon is WC.
Wade Cannon, hello, Wade. Did you get that from chat, or did he? How'd that happen? Oh yeah, look at that. There it is. Cool.
Got some people filtering in. Do you want to?
Isabel Vega. I know Isabel Vega. Hello, Isabel.
Do you want to give people a few minutes to get in before we start rambling?
Yeah, I feel like it. I mean, I don't want to give them too long because that's disrespectful to the people who are already here.
Right, the folks on time.
I know, but this doesn't feel like the sort of meeting where I should lock the door at 3 and keep people out.
Agreed.
So this is, we're trying to walk that fine line between laid back and super committed to delivering value. It's a tight wire.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had fun teaching the course with you this week. That was a good time.
Absolutely. I will always have fun hanging out with you, Doc. But that topic is just so impactful. We could have spent 8 hours a day for 5 days talking about it. Still barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, man. And so for those of you who are just joining us, we were talking about kind of working on your business rather than in your business. And there were various subtopics that go along with that. And it's such a rich topic for discussion because managers tend to get so consumed by the day-to-day that it's so hard to sort of pull back and lift your head up and think about where we're going and how we're going to get there and what do we need to do differently and all that. So we spent a week talking about topics related to that, and I'm hoping the participants got something out of it because Beau, you and I had a big time. I hope everybody else did too.
Absolutely, I'm sure they did. What was your favorite? Was there a favorite moment, line, quote, takeaway that you heard, Doc, or that you maybe you even said?
my favorite topic that I said. I'm going to say today's topic of culture was the most meaningful, but it's really, I think it's the clarity theme that came up all week. Regardless of what the topic was, the conversation always seemed to go to, are we clear on what we're trying to do and who's doing what and how we're going to get there and how we're going to keep score and all that stuff. We know whether we were talking about time management or problem solving or culture or pick your topic, right? It's so hard to have effective conversations on any of those topics without first kind of establishing clarity. So I have to say that was my favorite part of the whole thing. And it's so hard to do. And, Isabel, who I know way too much about, so she's probably going to regret me talking about her here. But I mean, worked in an organization that lacked clarity, so there were so many priorities and competing priorities and changing priorities, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. So we've got managers trying to get people aligned and marching in the same direction, and meeting deadlines and taking care of customers, and then to be caught in this swirl is it's brutal. So I was glad to get the chance to talk about that this week. What was your favorite part, Beau?
Similar. I think it's the deliberateness required to be effective at a high performing level, right? You got to stop, you got to pause, you got to think about what you're doing, and avoid just getting sucked into the whirlwind that starts, when you first open your email or you first walk in the door, and it's just like, holy crap, here, I just walked into a hurricane, and it's going to be this way until I finally get out of here at 6:00 tonight. And then I'm going to go home exhausted and not know if I got anything worthwhile accomplished. That's that deliberate nature that is required to be a high performing leader is probably my favorite part.
Dude, and you're so good at that piece of coaching around intentionality, right? Like, think about what your A game is supposed to look like, and then make good decisions to support that. It's you're absolutely right. So that was one of our quotes for the week, right? When you're operating on autopilot, you're not doing your best work.
Right.
And so much of what we do is on autopilot. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Intentionality. I think autopilot is easier in a lot of ways, right? It's the path of least resistance, but it's not the most effective. So that's another fun topic that we inevitably get into. Do you want the easy path, or do you want the hard path? Right. What was that expression you easy now, hard later, hard now, easy later?
Yep.
That was brilliant.
Well, I wish I could claim it. I heard it somewhere, but it's rules to live by, right? And if you've got an easy or hard choice, choose the hard one because it is the right one.
Yeah. Hard now, easy later versus easy now, hard later. Dude, that should at least be a bumper sticker. Hey, do people even say that anymore? Bumper stickers? Like, do those things still exist?
You and I say it. I don't know about other people, but
well,
we're dating ourselves. We're old people.
I know we are. And then and Isabel's gonna, she's gonna type in "Doc, damn, you're old" or something. So I'm just preparing for that. Preparing for her trash talk.
Let's get into the session for the
Let's
thing
do it,
you signed up for, Doc. Let's go. I think
Let's do it, man. The winning manager mindset, and I'm going to pull up some slides to sort of keep me on point, but we are certainly willing to zig and zag as necessary. Are you seeing the slides, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Welcome to everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you for hanging out with us. We are Doc McIntyre and Beau Groover from GSD Manager Training, and today we just want to spend a little bit of time talking about the winning manager mindset. So without further ado, that's us. And just quickly, my background is PhD in organizational psychology, university professor for a couple decades, combined with just a ton of executive coaching and management coaching. And Beau, your background, you've got as much time in operational leadership as I do in all of my stuff. Tell us about your background.
Yep, manufacturing and supply chain for 25 years. I've got an MBA, and I've been a student of Doc for 20. So I don't think I have a PhD, but I'm probably getting close to a bachelor's.
Dude, you've soaked in everything I've said and added to it, man. So I'd be glad to share my PhD with you. And you're a Lean Six Sigma black belt, and a fantastic coach in lots of different areas. So always fun working with you. So managers, here's why Beau and I do what we do, man, out of admiration for what managers are tasked with and for the impact that managers can have, right? So the plate spinning and the juggling and the the chainsaw juggling, all that stuff that managers have got to do is like, wow. So first of all, wow. And then secondly, managers have a huge impact on their teams, right? They can be the difference between their teams having a good day and a good life, or kind of a lousy day and a lousy life. So we really want to improve people's experience at work. And you and I, Beau, have decided to focus on managers as the lever point. Does that resonate?
It is, and it's driven out of our experience, right? It's not just some kind of theoretical thing about, hey, we think we can help managers. It's 25 years of working with folks who are on their progression to becoming managers, and some folks who have been at it for 25 years are still plugging into our processes and our systems and learning. And some folks just got promoted, a month ago, and they're like, all right, holy crap, now I'm a manager. What do I do?
Right. I mean, Beau, you and I both love this quote that your manager will have more impact on your health than your doctor. And I was just like, whoa, wow, that's heavy. But it's true. Like, you'll spend more waking hours sort of interacting with and trying to satisfy your manager than you will with most everybody else in your life. So, man, if we can make that a positive experience, Beau, I always say, you make that a positive experience, then people go home and they are better spouses, better parents, better coaches, better community members. So this is our way of leaving the world a better place. And I hope that's not too deep for a Friday afternoon.
I think
but I'm going deep. Thank you. And we just walked through this. We just said a lot of this stuff. A stressed manager makes a stressed team, right? Your team is going to pick up on your vibe, amplify your vibe, reflect your vibe, all those things as a manager. So you got to get that straight. Anything we can do to help you get that straight is a good thing. And then that last bullet, Beau, you and I are so sympathetic to managers because most people become managers because they were really good individual contributors, right? They were really good at the tech stuff or the sales stuff or whatever the stuff was. And now all of a sudden they've earned the management role and they don't get a whole lot of this is what you do now. So they are flailing away or they're imitating managers they've had, many of whom may not have been great. So it's a lot of responsibility, it's a lot of opportunity, and you don't get a lot of training and coaching. So that's the kind of the gap we're trying to fill. Is there anything else you would say about that, Beau?
No, well, I mean, I don't know anything to add other than, guys, when we think about, do I need a coach? And what we always fall back to is even the greatest have coaches, right? So whoever your greatest athlete you're a fan of, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, whoever it is, they have coaches. And so we're big proponents that everybody needs a coach of some kind, and we want to fill a small part of that role for you on your journey.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And the reality is managers don't get a lot of coaching, right? You're high enough up in the food chain that you're not getting a lot of hands-on real-time coaching. And that's a shame, right? Because I'm not going to belabor the point, but you have such an impact on so many people. I would like you to get more. I would like you to get more coaching. So that's where we come in. That's a supplement to whatever else you're getting. Thank you, sir. And again, participants, if you've got thoughts, comments, type it in, and Beau will make sure it gets read. So we're talking about this mindset, and this is my favorite quote. Beau, you said, hey, let's start off with our favorite quotes about mindset. Here's mine. It's our mind to set. Right? I heard somebody say this once, and I was like, holy crap. Right? Like, it's our mind to set. So, I'm a huge fan of personal responsibility. So, like, this one hit me, like a 2x4. I was like, yeah, we can do something about this. So, we hate it when people say, well, that's just who I am and I can't help it. I'm whatever. Like, dude, mindset's huge and you get to set it. So work on it. You may have to do some reprogramming, but work on it. We don't control what happens to us, and we don't control our instinctive emotional reaction, but we can learn to control how we respond. That's where that mindset piece kicks in. And it may require, the laying down of new neural pathways or whatever, right? You may have to break some old habits and develop some new habits, but I am here to tell you and encourage you and empower you. You can learn this. Beau, what's your favorite quote? What would you say here?
Love everything that you said. My favorite quote is probably that the life that you want is on the other side of the stuff you don't want to do.
Oh,
and
dude, that's so good.
To build on this, I can't control my instinctive reaction, but I can control my response. If I want to be in shape, it's on the other side of going to the gym and eating right. If I want to be more effective at work, it's on the other side of practicing and getting education and working out. So everything that you want is on the other side of something hard. And I literally just had this conversation with my son yesterday. It's like, dude, you got to quit looking for the easy path, because that's not going to get you where you want to go. It's on the other side of hard that good stuff happens. And that's true of setting your mind, right? It's hard to get your mindset and keep it in the right state of mind.
Yeah, it's right. It's easy to go negative and do all those bad things, right? From a mindset perspective. So it is hard. It does require intentionality. It does require discipline. I love your quote, man. What you want is on the other side of hard. Like, getting to good stuff. Like, I think people have to embrace that, right? Like, getting to good stuff is hard, or else it wouldn't be good stuff, right? Everybody would be doing it. Everybody else would have it, and it wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good stuff.
That's exactly right.
Right. So if you want to get to places other people aren't going to, then you've got to do things that other people aren't willing to do. And this, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's one of the most beautiful things about the human experience, right? Is that if there are lots of good things out there that you can pursue, the valuable things are on the other side of something hard. All of them. Yeah. But as you go through it, that's what makes it valuable, because it's not about getting the thing, it's getting the feeling that the thing brings you and who you become of going through the hard. I mean, it's like, it could be more perfect, right?
Yeah. You're right. It's the growth that happens while you're doing the hard stuff.
That's right.
Right? Because we don't know exactly when it's going to pay off, but I assure you it's going to pay off. Right? So, yeah, cool. I can't help it as a cop-out. Unfortunately, there are moments when I'm not particularly sympathetic or compassionate, and this is one of those moments, right? It would be disrespectful on my part if I let people off the hook when they said I can't help it, right? That would be me diminishing the other person's capabilities, right? I have too much respect for people. The people we work with, Beau, they're talented, right? They're talented. They're hardworking. Like, so they can get better. And that's my message there. When I say it's a cop out, I'm like, no, you can do this. You can do this. So put in the reps, get the help you need, but you can do this. Tip number 2, how to frame problems. I always love this, man. Problems are the reason you have a job. right? Like if you're solving a customer is paying you to solve a problem, right? You've got employees that need you, i.e., they have problems occasionally, and you got to get in there, right? That's why your job exists. If everything ran flawlessly without you, I'm not sure that you can really charge what you want to charge as an employee. What would you say to that, Beau?
I think you're exactly right. I mean, the reason that almost all of us, is especially true of managers, right? So we're back to why do we do this? The managers are the focal point up, down, and sideways of the stuff that's going on because they've got to delegate, they've got to handle, they've got to manage, they've got to lead, they've got to facilitate, they've got to coordinate. And so the ability to solve problems literally is your job, right? So just kind of recognize that, right? You're there to solve problems. That's what you get paid for. Make no mistakes.
It's not a problem. It's your job.
Right.
Yeah. I will never forget this leader that I respected very much, he had a department in his company that was just full of people that were sort of whining and moaning and feeling sorry for themselves and blaming everybody for their tough position. And this leader that I admired just stood up in front of him and said, "Hey, all that stuff that you're complaining about right now, that's why you have a job. That's why you have a job. So stop complaining about it. Like, embrace it. Lean into it." Right? And he dropped the mic and he kept moving. No, it was smooth. It was smooth. I was like, yeah. I encourage you to think to yourself, is this a new problem or an old problem? Because one way or the other, you got a chance to learn something or make something better, right? If it's a new problem, then you're into kind of this, oh, hey, didn't see that coming. What can I take from this situation? If it's an older problem, it's like, okay, dude, like, admit this is a recurring problem and do something about it. So I encourage you to kind of do that level of filtering when you're thinking about problems. New problem, old problem. Because if as soon as you admit it's an old problem, then I'm going to go, how come you let it fester, right? How come this thing keeps coming up?
Right.
And we're going to get to this uncomfortable yet highly productive space where you give me all the reasons why you haven't dealt with this yet, and then we're going to develop a plan to deal with it. So just as a heads up for anybody who tries to get coaching from me. Here's some other ways to think about problems. It's not a problem; it's a situation, right? It's a reality that we need to deal with. And Beau, you do such a great job of talking about how to kind of not position yourself oppositionally from somebody and how to sit on the same side of the table with them and sort of work collaboratively to figure stuff out. That's the way you got to think about a problem, right? It's just a situation. Let's not get dramatic about it. It's a situation. It needs our attention. Let's do it. A lot of people call problems challenges or opportunities. I think those can be a little rosy for my taste, but I totally understand the value of staying positive around it rather than going negative. Because as soon as you go negative, you actually get worse as a problem solver. What would you say, Beau?
Yeah, I love everything that you said, and I think it's really, really empowering to know that whatever it is neither good nor bad until you label it. Right? It just is, right? So if I say that this water is too cold or too hot or whatever, now I've labeled it, but at the end of the day, it's just water. And the same thing is true of these problems, situations, realities that we encounter. It by itself is neither good nor bad, and until we respond, and if we say it's bad, that creates some negative emotion, that creates some anxiety, that creates some stress, versus, hey, there's a thing that we got to deal with, right? Call it a shiny apple. It doesn't matter. But if you label it as a bad, it becomes bad.
Okay, Beau, so let me run the scenario by you then. I love what you're saying. But what if you said, oh, hell, we're not going to get this project done on time. We're going to miss our delivery date. How can that not be bad?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that it's
How do I avoid getting dramatic about it, I guess is my question. Because I think you're right. When we go negative in our heads, then we add a lot of negativity and baggage to the discussion. So keep going.
no, you're exactly right. So if we're going to miss the delivery, right? No matter what, me getting upset or yelling at people or creating this stress and tension doesn't help the fact that we missed the delivery date, right? We're still going to miss the delivery date, and now everybody goes home worried, upset, pissed off, whatever emotion you want to put there. So it's like, all right, we missed the delivery date. Why? Right? Let's all line up here and figure out how did our process allow us or cause us to miss the delivery date. Let's fix it so we don't have to do this again, and then move on. Right? It doesn't. It doesn't have emotion until I inject the emotion into it.
Dude, that is so good. Here's another thought that comes to mind. People get if we, as I've seen this before, but like if you don't get emotional as a leader, then some people will think you don't care, right? So what I want to say here is I want you as a leader to care deeply about fixing or resolving the situation, right? I want all of your energy going into that rather than spending energy on the spin. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's required, right? If we're trying to build that kick-ass culture that we talk about so much, it's required. You got to care, but you can care without, losing your cool and getting off the reservation and yelling at people and throwing the stapler, that kind of stuff. It just doesn't help.
No, right. So we need to convey to our teams that we care deeply about solving and preventing this situation, but not spend that energy, like you said, making people feel bad. Like we don't need to be venting our frustration. We need to be like hyper focused on let's figure this thing out, right? And we are the people that are going to figure this thing out.
That's right.
I love it. Any comments from the studio, the peanut gallery?
No, but all peanut gallery's open, guys. Any questions, comments, thoughts you've got, please type them into chat and we will respond as we go.
We will, and we will respond enthusiastically because that's who we are. I loved this quote. You have a problem, you are not the problem, right? So just another mindset framework here. You have a problem, you are not the problem. And I think this builds on what you said earlier, right? So many times in the middle of the problem, we start fast forwarding into all the possible negative consequences, right? Who am I disappointing? Who's going to yell at me? Which job am I going to lose? Which bridge am I going to live under? All that stuff we start to, what'd you call it? Run off the reservation. Our heads start to run wild. We got to pull it back. Right? You've got a problem. You are not the problem. You are the person that's going to fix this thing. Anything else you'd say about that, sir?
No, I think it's there's a little bit of a detachment that's required, right?
Yeah,
so kind of step away from the circumstances and say, all right, what happened? How do we recover? Let's all rally up, because nobody shows up. And we talked about this in our earlier session. Nobody shows up with the intention of screwing up their job. They just don't.
You're so right. I know. You are so right. Hey, I'm going to challenge you here for a second, because I love what you just said, and I love that word detachment. You've got a great phrase about being impatiently patient. Is that the way you say it? Or patiently impatient?
Patiently impatient. Yep.
Patiently impatient, right? Where you talk about, working the plan, and staying focused, yet really going after it, right? There's a balance there between urgency and thoughtfulness, right? You talk about that tension a lot, that healthy tension. Detachment. So you said you got to be detached from the situation enough to keep the emotion out of it, but you've still got to be attached enough to it to demand that the problem get addressed. Right? You can't be so detached that you're not. So I want some parallel wordplay here, like detachedly detached or detachedly attached, attachedly detached or something. There's got to be something in there, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I know exactly what you're saying, but I don't know how I would phrase that.
Right.
So you've got to be attached enough to care and let people know that you care, but you've got to be detached enough that you don't get your emotions involved to make the situation harder.
You don't take it personally, and you don't make somebody else take it personally.
That's right. But
you are hell bent on getting to the bottom of it.
That's right.
Right. So all that energy that you're going to put into worrying and blaming and all that stuff, put that into getting down to business and fixing this thing. Cool. Okay. Love it. Love it. Love it. How to frame setbacks. So tip number 3, view them as temporary, right? Like understand this is not the final step. This is the next step. This is not the end of the world. This is just this moment in time, right? So try to maintain a longer term perspective. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's required.
Okay. View setbacks as a necessary part of the process. So I was thinking about your statement earlier, right? The good stuff lies on the other side of doing the hard. Like, setbacks are going to happen. Right? Right? There's no linear path to anything great, right? There's always going to be these ups and downs. So view them as necessary, right? And it's funny. I had a marriage thought there, right? You're like, there's no good relationship that doesn't have its tough moments.
That's right.
So, but the tough moments don't mean you bail out on the relationship. The tough moments mean you realize, hey, this is the part that allows us to get to the good stuff, right? So temporary, necessary, and somebody shared with me the power of yet. So if you're thinking to yourself, like, I don't know how to do this, I can't do this, if you just add the word yet to the end of the sentence, it really opens you up and allows you to breathe and go, yeah, I just haven't figured it out yet. I'm not done trying, right? I'm not a total failure. I just haven't figured it out yet. And many before me have figured this out, and many after me will figure this out. I'm going to get this, right? So I love the use of the term yet.
It's beautiful.
Right? I mean, it's so simple, but so powerful as a mindset tool. And then this quote by Randy Pausch. And if you guys haven't watched the last lecture, either the video or read the book, then I'm going to recommend it, and you can thank me later. But he's got a quote in there: the brick walls aren't there to keep you out. They're there to give you a chance to show how badly you want it. Right? It's like, right? It's like, dude, it's like, keep going. Keep going. I think about sort of, like competing for a job or competing for a customer, right? Like, whatever initial pushback you're getting, like the other people you're competing with are also getting the same pushback. So can you hang in there longer than the other person, right? Success is often a matter of hanging on just a little longer than anybody else.
Right.
That's what I take from this. Beau, jump in anytime, buddy. I've got the growth mindset versus fixed mindset graphic up there because there's just a ton of overlap around what we're talking about here. The growth mindset folks think that they can learn stuff, right? They don't They don't think that I've got it or I don't have it, right? They're into development. They focus on development. They view challenges as fuel for their growth. They ask for feedback. They view effort as necessary, right? Versus that fixed mindset that is really more about ego protection ultimately, right? I want to stay in my narrow lane and stay in my comfort zone and not venture out. So there's a ton of research showing the benefits of growth mindset. Any thoughts around this, brother?
Yeah, a couple, and I think and I don't mean this snarky or disparagingly, right? But the fixed mindset is really, it's the easy way out, right? If I just allow myself to say, well, that's just the way I am. I just can't figure this out. I just can't do it. You're selling yourself so short, and to give up, and it's like, well, I can't get it. Now, if you've been trying to figure something out for 7 or 8 years, maybe that's not your thing, right? I could never sing. I could not sing on key. If I studied singing for the next 25 years, God didn't put that in me, right? And so at some point, you're like, all right, yeah, I don't care. I don't want to be a singer. You know what I mean? But there's just this easy way out to say, well, I can't, and I'm stuck, and I'm just this, and I don't ever have to expose myself to saying, all right, this is going to be weird. I'm going to look awkward. This may be ugly for a little while, but let's go, man. I'm going to try. Why not?
Yeah. I think for growth mindset people, the upside is bigger than the downside, right? The upside of trying something new or continuing to try feels greater than the downside of being uncomfortable and looking silly, feeling like a failure, all those things, right? So, this probably has a lot to do with how you grew up and, the way you were raised and all that jazz. But again, I would say to people, even if you grew up in a fixed mindset household, it may take you a little longer to move over to the right side, but you can get there, right? You're not doomed to repeat whatever was done to you. You know what I mean? It's like that again. The beautiful thing about being an adult, you get to make a lot of choices.
I always remember Les Brown's quote, right? A tree can't be anything but a tree. You are not a tree.
You have options. You, sir, are not a tree. Exactly. So I just want to encourage folks, right? Like, put yourself out there. There's more to learn. There's more fun stuff to do. So don't, you say it great. Like, what did you say? Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah. The life that you want is on the other side of hard stuff. Period.
That's just,
whatever it is, it's on the other side of hard. We got a quick comment here, Doc.
Hit me.
Recently, I realized that it was hard to see a problem as an opportunity because I was overwhelmed with the amount of quote unquote opportunities to resolve. Any advice on how to stop the overwhelming feeling? And I do like your quote, "You are not the problem."
Yeah. So my advice to that is you've got you got finite resources, you've got finite time, you've got finite bandwidth, you've got finite members of your team, right? So at some point this becomes a flow management issue, right? You've got to be able to control the flow. So stuff may be coming at you from lots of different angles, but I think your job at that point is to have real conversations with the sources of all your, of all the demands, and where you say, hey, this is what we've got, right? So tell me how what you're asking for fits in with what we've got in terms of resources. Not in an oppositional, argumentative sort of way, but again in a collaborative sort of way. Because I think I think we start feeling overwhelmed when we've overcommitted. And I imagine the person who wrote that is thinking, well, I don't have the choice, right? I get committed for me. Somebody commits me to this stuff. And I think you got to be careful with that way of thinking, because that's kind of a victim thinking sort of thing. I mean, nobody knows your capabilities or your team's capabilities better than you, right? So I think you've got to stand up for yourself in a collaborative sort of way and say, hey, this is what we've got. Or, hey, do you want to go out and get some more resources in order to do all these projects? But I think you've got to be willing to have those conversations, really, to protect yourself and your team. Because if you don't have those conversations, then you start to feel like you're drowning, and that's bad for everybody. What do you think, Beau? How would you coach that one?
Yeah, I think I would just add the idea of, if you're looking at all of the opportunities as equal, there's a easy way to get overwhelmed. If I've got 49 things on my task list and I just look at 49 things on my task list versus, all right, out of those 49, what are the 2 or 3 that I have time, ability, and will have the most impact? Now I've got to focus, right? So there's all kinds of stuff on my to-do list that I write down because I think of it. But as I intentionally go through my list, there's things that I just don't ever do, right? Because it's just not that important. So I would encourage people to take a step back and go, all right, hold on. All these things are on my list. Which ones are really going to move the needle? And then go into that conversation that you're suggesting, Doctor. Like, all right, can I delegate it? Is there somebody else can do it? What happens if we don't do it? What's the cost here? And so just facilitating a discussion around, there's too many things to work on.
That was beautiful phrasing right there, facilitating a discussion. Because I imagine there are managers that are getting requests, demands from lots of different sources, and the sources are not all aware of the demands that are being placed, right? So this poor manager is absorbing all of this. So, I mean, I think that's a moment where the manager's got to bring several parties together and facilitate the discussion you just described.
That's right.
Right? Don't try to figure this out yourself. You're not alone in having to figure it out. But you are the one responsible for facilitating the discussion. Is that fair?
I think it's perfect. Yeah. Well done.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that question up, studio audience, and keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Right. Thank you.
Let's see. Resistance. I love this picture. The announcement of the changes really went well as they're hiding behind the podium. I would say this is how I've handled resistance over the years. First of all, if I'm getting resistance, it means the person is considering what I'm saying, right? Sometimes, to me, it means the person is giving it some thought. So I would prefer resistance to like silent disbelief, right? If somebody's not saying anything, then I don't know where I stand, right? So I always view resistance as a good sign that the person's actually like working through the details of what I'm saying, right? They're trying to figure out how it applies to them or how it works for them. So I tend to go there first in my head, and then I tend to take it as like, if the tomatoes start flying at me, I don't ever go, what's wrong with the audience? Like, why didn't they get it? I go like, okay, I screwed up something in this delivery, right? It's on me to go back to the drawing board and figure this thing out. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think in continuous improvement, right? So you mentioned Lean Six Sigma, so it's always kind of pushing against the status quo. Understanding the nature of the resistance, right? Because on one hand, it is, we've always done it this way. I've been doing this for 22 years. What the heck do you know? That kind of emotional, visceral response versus resistance, or I might frame it incorrectly as resistance when somebody's really trying to understand what's going on. Right. So a lot of times, again, it's usually our ego that gets in the way. My response to what I'm calling resistance might actually just be a misframing of what's really going on, which the person's trying to understand. So if I can let my guard down, to your point, hey, I messed up something in the delivery, crap, my bad.
Yeah.
Let me understand where you're coming from. What are your concerns? I hear what you're saying. Am I hearing what you're saying more in the question of active listening? But don't go into it saying, well, what a bunch of knuckleheads. They don't understand what we're talking about and how great this is going to be for them.
Yeah. What's wrong with the audience is not the right reaction to have. You said something really cool in there. It made me think, like, if your immediate reaction to and I'm, hold on a second. I think I'm about to bastardize a quote, but there's something about when somebody disagrees with you, try to figure out what they're scared of. Right? Again, it's really powerful. If your reaction to resistance is, I wonder what they're scared of, all of a sudden your whole vibe changes, right? You start being compassionate and curious and all those good things, right? They help you connect with people. So if you get this knee-jerk, obstinate, right, we've always done it this way, blah, 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 right? If you go into, damn, I wonder what I've struck a nerve somehow, and I wonder what nerve I've struck. So if you can go into, like you said, like listening mode, hey, like, tell me what's really going on here, right? I think it's an incredibly powerful management skill.
Agreed. We got a great comment here, Doc. This graphic for tip number 4 is awesome. Love it.
Feel free to use this graphic. A lot of it comes down to your composure as the leader or as the communicator, right? Again, you can't let your head spin. Like, if somebody resists, you can't think to yourself, oh my, and we do this, right? And we do it subconsciously. Oh my God, this project is not going to work. And I've told my boss this project is going to work and I'm going to get fired, right? I mean, we say all of these negative things to ourselves, and we really just have to catch ourselves and say, no, wait, no, stop that, right? That's it here. I need to stay in the moment and just say, I got to stay with my audience. Hey, what's going on? Talk to me. What did you hear? Because I don't feel like what I said, I didn't intend for what I said to evoke that response. So what did you hear? Like, there's just a whole lot of good ways to keep the conversation going, but it all hinges on your ability to not panic. Right. And I wish I could, I wish there was an easy button for learning not to panic. But a lot of it, I think, is self-awareness and practice, right? You can, even if your natural reaction is panic, I think you can pause and push it to the side and train yourself to say some other things. Does that seem fair?
It does, and panic is a good word, right? Because if we can just find that moment, that little pause in ourselves to say, okay, hold on, I'm not under threat. This is not a saber-toothed tiger that's about to kill me. My ego is feeling threatened because someone's asking a question. All of that panic will just kind of evaporate. And if you go into, I love that quote, I wonder what they're scared of. I think that's a great coaching, and it requires some effort, right? It's not easy to do because our natural instinct is to panic and go, oh crap.
It's it's natural, it's universal, it's very self-centered, right? Oh, this is bad for me. Well, when what we really need to do is stay with the other person. Hey, tell me why this feels bad for you.
Right.
Right? And I say it all the time. I say to people, hey, I did not intend to put you on the defensive or piss you off or whatever I did. And I'm sorry that I did that. But tell me what it is you Tell me what it is you heard, right? So I'm owning it, but I'm trying to go deeper.
Well, and I think to that point, Doc, it is super important the way you phrase that. I didn't intend whatever I did, however I said, whatever I caused is I versus, hey, I don't understand why you feel that way. I'm sorry you feel that way, but you're wrong. Now let me tell you why.
Right.
It's not going to be good. It's not going to work out.
No, you got to own it. You got to own it. But you own it when you're not panicked and when you're genuine about it. And guys, I speak from experience because I stand up in front of crowds for a living. And early in my career, the first heckler would drive me crazy because I'd be like, right, this is going to blow up this whole thing. And I'm never going to get invited back. And this is miserable. But man, when I got past that and I learned to just stay in the conversation, total game changer. So it works in all sorts of settings. Don't take it personally. Mm-hmm. Just say, my bad. I didn't see that coming. Tell me more. So yeah, you can learn. What I'm saying is you can learn it. I understand the natural inclination, and I'm telling you, it is a developable skill. Okay. Resentment. Dude, I've got so much to say on this topic. I'm going to go straight to the quotes and then work my way up. I'm going to go from low to high on this one. Right? Resentment corrodes the vessel it's carried in. Resentment is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die. If you are harboring negative feelings towards somebody, guess what? The other person doesn't suffer. You suffer. So, do we want to give that sort of power to the other person, or do we want to engage in such sort of self-limiting behaviors, self-harming behaviors? I hope the answer is no. What do you think, Beau?
I think it's a great question and a great way to look at it, because what I found most of the time, the other person doesn't even know offended you. Right? I watched my dad, and God rest his soul, great guy. But if somebody pulled out in front of him, he would be pissed off for the next 15 minutes driving down the road talking about this guy. And I'm like, Dad, he doesn't even know he pulled out in front of you, bro. I mean, we are so far away from good healthiness right now.
Right. What are you looking for at this point, right? I mean, it's like,
you want to run him down and just beat him up? What's happening? I don't know.
Yeah, where are we going here? Yeah, there's another related saying that I've shared before, which is like, learn to accept the apology you never got, right? It's like, don't sit around and wait for the other person to come to his or her senses, right? You don't need that. You don't need to get even. You just need to get on with it yourself.
That's right.
It's such a freeing, like, inner peace thing when you just say, yeah, that happened. Damn, that wasn't great. And, I'm disappointed. I'm frustrated, right? I'll give you 30 seconds. I'll give you 90 seconds to wallow. But then at some point you got to just go next, right? I'm going forward.
Right.
Yeah. So, I hope you see it as sort of a waste of time and energy to harbor resentment. Dude, I don't know if I ever told you the story, Beau, but like, I was resentful on behalf of a friend of mine one time. He got mistreated. Yeah, this is a great story. He got mistreated. So I was pissed off at the guy that mistreated him, right? The third party of this triangle for probably 10 years. And it came up in conversation with my buddy that I was still, defending his honor. And he's like, dude, I let that go a long time ago. You need to let that go. And I was like, holy shit, I got a decade into this thing, man. And, but it was such a lesson. Like, That was silly. That was silly.
Well, and I think the other part, my discovery, or what I believe to be true, is that resentment is because I've taken something personally. And 99% of the time, it was not intended personally. They didn't do it to me. They did it for themselves, but I've internalized it and made it about me.
Right.
And it's so, from a health perspective, it is so bad to feel those emotions because your brain is dumping all kinds of stress hormones into your body, and it's just so bad.
Yeah, that person has disrespected me. No, that person really wasn't even thinking about you.
Yeah,
right?
You had nothing to do with it, dude.
you are not even on their radar. So, like, I'm sorry for what they did, but it was not directed at you specifically, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great, man. How to frame stress. Again, I'm gonna work my way up from the bottom again. A lot of stress comes from us thinking that we're going to disappoint somebody. You know, so it is largely self-inflicted. There's pressure is real, like demand is real. You know, you got a lot to do in a little bit of time or whatever. Like, that's all real. But stress is something that you layer on top of that, right? So you can be busy without being stressed. And we just got to make sure that we're not doing that to ourselves. And the other thing I would say is, man, sometimes when you feel yourself getting like keyed up before something important, like, that's good. That's pregame jitters, right? The athletes that view that energy as jitters do a lot better. The ones who view it as pregame jitters do a lot better than the people that view it as holy shit, right? This is I'm weak and I'm a coward and all that stuff. So I think an elevated state is not necessarily a bad sign. It means you care. Right?
Yep.
Right? But then we put the stress interpretation on top of that. Buddy, we are coming to the end of our hour. Tip number 8, practice gratitude. Dude, so there's a book on this, right? The Gain and the Gap. Like, people who focus on what's missing, right? The shortfalls, they're the gap people. They are not happy people, right? The folks that are able to say, look how far we've come, even though we've still got more to go, they are the happy people.
That's right.
So to me, that's a gratitude thing, right? So focus on gratitude rather than what you're missing, right? Focus on what you've got rather than what you and figure out ways to apply that to your teams. What would you say to that, Beau?
I've read that book and I love it because I think our human nature is to always be looking for what's missing, right?
Yeah.
Good, bad, or otherwise. I don't know exactly where that comes from, but it is, again, it's hard. But on the other side of that hard is the ability to look back and say, man, I am so much more calm than I was 5 years ago. I am so much more consistent, so much more disciplined. Versus, man, I've got so far to go. I'm still not disciplined. I'm still not consistent. And so it's an intentional mind shift that is hard to do, but on the other side of that hard is a happier, more fulfilled life guaranteed.
Yeah. So as you're speaking, it's dawning on me that people who are like driven, type A's, ambitious, competitive, I think it's really easy to fall into that gap mindset. Right? And I get it. And I don't want everybody to lose their edge, right? I'm not recommending complacency. I'm not recommending lower standards. I'm recommending giving yourself and your team some credit for the progress that's happened, because that will fuel you in your continued pursuit of whatever that is. Right? You need to fuel up in order to keep going. And so does your team. So, I always laugh at the managers who just suck at celebrations, right? They can't just say, hey, great job. They've always got to say, great job. Hey, but look at all this other shit we got to do.
Yes.
I'm like, stop it, great job for a second and let people feel good. Let yourself feel good, right? Okay, my man.
Guys, me nuts. Hey, let me give you a quick quote on that, Doc. You know what's on the other
Sure.
side of that mountain that you're climbing right now?
What?
Another mountain. Right. And so if you live in that gap state, no matter what you're pursuing, as soon as you get to the top, and it's just the manager you described, right? As soon as you get to the top, what's the next mountain we're going to go climb? And it is never ending, and it is brutal, and it is relentless, and it is very, very disheartening to those folks around you who are trying like hell to help you get up the daggone mountain.
Exactly. So again, you and I both like the pursuit of excellence and ambition and all that stuff. But do it in a way that is healthy and good for the people around you, because you need the people around you to feel energized, right? Burning yourself out, burning out your people, not good. Dude, this is the question for the audience. Like, how much mental energy are you spending on negatively framing all of those things we just talked about? Problems, failures, resentment, and stress. And it's a tough one to put. It's a tough one to quantify. But how much better would your work life be if you had less of these negative feelings floating around? And I mean, the answer undoubtedly is going to be it'd be a lot better. It'd be a lot better. I don't know what the number is, but it'd be a lot better for you personally, and it would be better for the people around you. And I'm going to say it's very valuable. Right. Because we started off talking about the impact that managers can have on their teams and all that stuff. So it's a big deal. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a $5,000 big deal or a $50,000 big deal or a $500,000 big deal, but it's a big deal. If you lose talented people from your team, right, because of this environment that's been created, or you yourself have to bail out, or there are a lot of costly things that can happen. So I encourage our participants here to kind of think through that, and then decide if they want, more coaching to learn how to manage this stuff better. Because, we've got a $300, live online event coming up in August that, man, we would love to just continue the conversation with people. It's not a ton of money, and I think it could, yield a great return for folks. And, if you don't need it, you probably know somebody else who does. So spread the word for us. We're trying to get to 100,000 managers. Beau, finish this up, buddy. Wrap it up.
Awesome session, guys. Those of you who have joined us on this Friday afternoon, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your time and attention. And get to work on your mindset. And remember, good stuff is on the other side of hard.
That's it. Happy Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay cool. And hopefully we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.